AG, an ordinary high school student, was betrayed so deeply by his girlfriend that he found himself standing on the edge of a rooftop, ready to put an end to all his suffering. But fate had something entirely different in store for him. The story begins with AG sending a text message. Looking closer, we see that he is messaging his girlfriend, Miyuki, who has just turned down his invitation. Even so, he replies with cheerful words and wishes her well. This wasn't just any ordinary day. It was the birthday date they had carefully planned together, making it even harder for him to believe that she canceled on such a special occasion. Sitting alone and wondering why he even bothered getting ready, the repeated sound of passing trains echoes through his mind. We then learn that AG had finally gathered the courage to confess his feelings to his childhood friend, the girl he had loved for years. Last Christmas, they both agreed to start dating. At first, everything between them was going perfectly. But recently, something had begun to change. Anyone who looked at Miyuki would never guess she was just an ordinary childhood friend. She carried herself like an idol, and her beauty made her the most admired girl in school. AG considered himself incredibly lucky to be dating someone like her. He always treated her with respect, remained patient, and never pressured her into anything. Their relationship had progressed so gently that they hadn't even shared their first kiss yet. That was exactly why today felt so strange. He knew Miyuki would never normally cancel one of their dates, especially without a proper reason. Yet today, all she did was make excuses. Even though he had been stood up, he decided to visit the restaurant they had planned to go to together. After putting so much effort into preparing for the date, going straight home felt like a waste. He walked through the crowded streets, passing countless people, until he reached the area where they had planned to watch a movie. As he walked, he imagined how wonderful the day could have been. He hoped this would finally be the moment when their relationship moved forward. Throughout their time together, AG had always made sure Miyuki felt comfortable. He never wanted to rush her or take advantage of her in any way. Shaking those thoughts from his mind, he wandered into a nearby street. The atmosphere there was completely different. Music filled the air, and couples surrounded him, openly showing their affection for one another. Only then did AG realize he had accidentally wandered into a love hotel district. Embarrassed by what he saw around him, he quickly understood this was nothing like the place they had planned to visit. Still, his imagination drifted once again. He pictured a future where his relationship with Miyuki continued to grow, eventually leading them to visit a love hotel together and take the next step in their relationship. As those fantasies made him blush even more, he decided it was probably best to leave. But just as he turned around, he heard a familiar voice. Behind him, two people were laughing and teasing each other like a happy couple. When he looked closer, his heart nearly stopped. Standing there was Miyuki. She wasn't alone. She was with another man, holding him close as they happily walked together through the love hotel district, looking every bit like a couple deeply in love. Just as AG was about to leave, he heard a voice that sounded painfully familiar. Behind him, two couples were laughing, teasing each other, and enjoying themselves. Then he saw her. Miyuki was standing there with another man. She was holding him close, smiling brighter than ever, looking as if they had always been in a loving relationship. AG could barely believe what he was seeing. With a trembling voice, he quietly called out her name. Earlier, Miyuki had told him that she needed to stay late at school because of an assignment. But that was nothing more than a lie. Instead of being at school, she was spending time with another man in the love hotel district. The moment she heard AG's voice, her smile disappeared. She immediately froze, panicked, and nervously whispered his name. AG stood there speechless, struggling to breathe as the truth unfolded before his eyes. In perfect timing, both of them awkwardly asked each other the same question. "What are you doing here?" Unable to control his emotions, AG grabbed Miyuki by the arm and pulled her toward him. She instantly cried out that he was hurting her. Before he could even react, the man beside her stepped forward and punched AG so hard that he was knocked to the ground. Still lying on the pavement, AG looked up in confusion, unable to understand what was happening. The other man glared at him and shouted that he should keep his hands off his girlfriend. AG was left frozen as the painful reality slowly began to sink in. The man then revealed the cruel truth. He explained that Miyuki had only agreed to date AG because he was her childhood friend. She simply felt guilty rejecting him and didn't want to hurt his feelings. He continued by saying that Miyuki often complained about AG behind his back. She had called him boring. She even laughed about how sweaty his hands were the first time they held hands. Every word shattered AG's heart even further. His entire world collapsed before his eyes. But the man wasn't finished. With a mocking smile, he laughed and said Miyuki had told him all those things while they were lying together in bed. Hearing those words completely destroyed the last bit of hope AG had been holding on to. The girl he loved. The girl he trusted more than anyone. The girl he believed was kind and innocent. Had been insulting him while embracing another man. His eyes widened in disbelief. Deep inside, he desperately wished everything was nothing more than a nightmare. The man continued mocking him. He casually told Miyuki that if she still cared so much about her boring boyfriend, she could simply leave him instead. Then, in a cold and demanding voice, he gave her an ultimatum. Choose. Break up with him, or break up with me. Without hesitation, Miyuki burst into tears. She begged him not to leave her. She confessed that she had already given herself completely to him because she truly believed he was the one she wanted. She even cried that she couldn't live without him. As the man gently patted her head, AG felt his heart shatter into pieces. The man wore a proud smile, making it painfully clear that Miyuki was completely under his control. Still mocking AG, he told Miyuki to loudly say what she really thought about him. Without looking at AG, Miyuki spoke in a cold voice. She admitted that she always thought he was boring, clingy, and an annoying stalker who constantly bothered her. Then she went even further. She called him an abusive and terrible boyfriend. AG couldn't believe what he was hearing. Not only was their relationship ending, it was ending in the most humiliating and heartbreaking way imaginable. Miyuki completely cut all ties with him. She warned him never to approach her again. She also made it clear that he was not allowed to speak to her at school anymore. That single day destroyed everything AG had treasured. The two of them treated him like he was nothing. After crushing his trust, his love, and everything he believed in, AG silently walked back home. When AG finally returned home, everything inside him had already fallen apart. His mother and older brother welcomed him with warm smiles. They asked if he was hungry since he had rushed out earlier without even eating. Forcing himself to stay calm, AG quietly told them he was fine before heading straight to his room. He lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to stop replaying everything that had happened. He couldn't understand how the two people he trusted the most had destroyed his entire world so effortlessly. As the days passed, he slowly lost his appetite. He stopped joining his family for dinner. Whenever he closed his eyes, terrifying nightmares filled his sleep. He kept seeing Miyuki and the other man embracing each other while laughing at him. Again and again, they mocked him, telling him that he was never good enough for someone like her. When AG finally returned home, everything inside him had already fallen apart. His mother and older brother welcomed him with warm smiles. They asked if he was hungry since he had rushed out earlier without even eating. Forcing himself to stay calm, AG quietly told them he was fine before heading straight to his room. He lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to stop replaying everything that had happened. He couldn't understand how the two people he trusted the most had destroyed his entire world so effortlessly. As the days passed, he slowly lost his appetite. He stopped joining his family for dinner. Whenever he closed his eyes, terrifying nightmares filled his sleep. He kept seeing Miyuki and the other man embracing each other while laughing at him. Again and again, they mocked him, telling him that he was never good enough for someone like her. Every night, AG begged for the nightmares to end. He only wanted a moment of peace. Eventually, the nightmares became so unbearable that he began to fear falling asleep. After taking some time away, AG finally returned to school. As he quietly walked through the hallway, one of his classmates suddenly greeted him from behind. The moment they saw his face, they were shocked. Dark circles had formed beneath his eyes, making it obvious that he hadn't been sleeping at all. His friend casually asked how things were going with Miyuki. AG avoided answering the question. Just then, he noticed Miyuki walking through the hallway with her friends, as if nothing had ever happened. Memories from their childhood flashed through his mind. Back then, she had always been the one calling out to him and happily spending time together. Gathering every bit of courage he had left, AG decided to call her name. As soon as he got close enough, Miyuki turned around after hearing him. Before she could even speak, her best friend stepped in front of her. She glared at AG with hatred. She ordered him to stay away from Miyuki. Then she called him a disgusting creep and even threatened to ruin his life if he ever came near her again. AG stood there completely confused. He couldn't understand what crime he had committed to deserve such treatment. After school, he returned home and wrapped himself inside his blanket. It was the only place where he still felt even slightly safe. A notification suddenly appeared on his phone. When he checked it, countless messages from unknown people began flooding his screen. Every message insulted him. They called him disgusting. They told him he should disappear. Some even told him to end his own life. Within moments, his phone was overflowing with hateful comments. People accused him of being a pervert, a stalker, an abuser, and a worthless piece of trash. AG struggled to breathe as more and more messages continued arriving. Unable to bear it any longer, he threw his phone away. Even then, the non-stop vibrations and notification sounds echoed throughout the entire night. The following morning, AG arrived at school completely shaken. Deep down, He was convinced that Miyuki's best friend was responsible for spreading these rumors. He slowly opened the classroom door. First, nobody said anything, but the moment he sat down, whispers began spreading across the room. One after another, students called him horrible names. They labeled him a woman hater, a stalker, predator, and someone no girl should ever trust. The entire class had already turned against him. Unable to stay silent any longer, AG tried to defend himself. He insisted that he had done nothing wrong. Before he could explain further, Miyuki's best friend slammed her hand onto his desk. She shouted at him to keep his mouth shut. Then she confidently told everyone that AG had been stalking the school's two most popular girls. She claimed several students had witnessed him constantly following Miyuki. Hearing everyone believe those lies without question, AG realized he had completely lost the fight. No matter what he said, no one was willing to listen. At lunchtime, AG quietly made his way to the rooftop. With lifeless eyes, he sat alone and ate his lunch in silence. Soon after, someone from his club informed him that all club activities had been cancelled because of the strange rumors spreading around the school. The one place where he thought he still belonged had disappeared as well. Refusing to give up, AG gathered the courage to ask the club president for help. As he reached the clubroom door, he stopped after hearing voices from inside. The members were talking about him. Every single one of them agreed that AG looked creepy from the very beginning. Some even argued that accepting him into the club had been a mistake. Others insisted they should remove him immediately. Hearing those words from the people he trusted was more painful than anything else. Tears slowly rolled down his face. At that moment, AG realized he was completely alone. No matter where he turned, there was no one left willing to stand by his side. Still searching for someone who might believe him, AG decided to visit his teacher. But the moment he arrived outside the office, he froze. Miyuki and her best friend were already inside. They were telling the teacher that AG had been following them and making them feel unsafe. Miyuki quietly agreed, saying she was terrified of him. The moment AG heard those words, he silently turned around and walked away. He knew he had already lost. Every path he could take had been blocked. It felt as though his entire high school life was slowly being swallowed by darkness. The bullies didn't stop there. They even threatened his parents. They warned him that if he reported anything or asked for help, they would visit his family themselves. When AG returned home that evening, his mother immediately noticed something was wrong. She gently asked if he was hiding something and whether everything was truly okay. AG quietly listened to her worries without saying a word. Although he desperately needed help, he refused to drag his family into the nightmare he was living through. His parents encouraged him to enjoy his school life. In return, AG forced a weak smile and assured them that everything was fine. Meanwhile, Miyuki was slowly losing everything as well. She hadn't just lost the people around her. She had lost herself. She couldn't sleep at night. Every day, she wondered if everything that had happened was nothing more than a terrible dream. She realized that the future she had imagined for herself had completely fallen apart. She couldn't stop thinking that everything might have been avoided if she had simply made different choices. She also knew that her childhood friend was being relentlessly bullied throughout the entire school. Whenever she saw AG suffering, tears filled her eyes. But deep down, she believed she had no right to cry. It all began when Miyuki complained that her relationship with AG was moving far too slowly. Her best friend introduced her to an older student named Kondo. Kondo was the star player of the school's soccer team and one of the most popular boys around. At first, Miyuki enjoyed spending time with someone so admired by everyone. Little by little, she became more comfortable around him. His sweet words and constant compliments slowly won her over. Before either of them realized it, they shared their first kiss. Not long afterward, Miyuki gave herself completely to him. Although she felt guilty in the beginning, Kondo constantly spoke badly about AG, making it easier for her to ignore her conscience. Eventually, the two of them crossed a line they never should have. Neither of them realized that betrayal always comes with consequences. Even before AG discovered the truth, Miyuki still cared about the date she had promised him. But Kondo simply laughed it off. He told her that if she didn't come with him, he could always spend the day with another girl instead. After AG caught them together, only a few days later, Kondo abandoned Miyuki as well. He broke up with her without hesitation and threw her away just as easily. In the end, Miyuki lost both of them. She destroyed the relationship she had with AG, only to be discarded by Kondo. She was left with absolutely nothing, and instead, she thought that maybe AG would forgive her. If you enjoyed this part of the story, let me know by commenting next part below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next episode.